Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to explore one of the most significant turning points in South Asian history, a moment that reshaped politics, culture, religion, and trade for centuries to come. This is the story of the Arab invasion of India, a chapter that begins far beyond the borders of the subcontinent, but eventually reaches the banks of the Indus River and leaves a permanent imprint on the region. When we talk about this historical period, it's important to understand not only what happened, but also why it happened, who was involved, and what the long-term consequences were. In this video-style explanation, we will move through the timeline step by step, keeping each paragraph short and easy to follow, while staying close to historical sources and context. The roots of the Arab invasion can be traced back to the rapid expansion of the early Islamic Caliphates after the death of Prophet Muhammad. Within just a few decades, Muslim rule had reached the frontiers of Persia, Central Asia, and the eastern edges of the Arabian Peninsula. The Arab world at this time was witnessing one of the fastest political expansions in world history. With the weakening of the Sasanian Empire after its defeat by Muslim forces, a wide frontier opened towards regions that bordered the Indian subcontinent. Trade routes, geography, and political instability in the neighboring areas all shaped the motivations behind moving toward India. Long before any military campaign, Arabs had strong trade relations with India. Arab merchants regularly visited ports in Sindh, Gujarat, and Kerala. Indian spices, textiles, and precious stones were already well known in the Arab world. Because of this long-standing commercial connection, the region was not completely unfamiliar to them. However, political conflicts along the coastline, disputes with local rulers, and attacks on Arab merchants began creating tension. This tension played a major role in the decision to launch military action in the region. One of the most commonly mentioned incidents in historical sources is the attack on an Arab ship near the port of Dibal. The ship was reportedly carrying orphans, women, and goods from Sri Lanka to Basra. Pirates from Sindh captured the ship, seized the goods, and mistreated the passengers. When the caliph's governor demanded justice, the local ruler of Sindh, Raja Dahir, responded by saying the pirates were independent and not under his control. This response was taken as an insult by the Umayyad authorities and was used as a justification for military intervention. Before the successful expedition, earlier attempts to enter India were made but failed due to resistance, geographical difficulties, and lack of detailed knowledge of the region. However, when the task was assigned to a young general named Muhammad bin Qasim, the campaign took a new direction. Muhammad bin Qasim was only 17 when he was appointed, but he was trained in administration, military tactics, and had strong support from the governor of Iraq, Hajjaj bin Yusuf. His leadership style, combined with the political situation of Sindh, set the stage for a decisive moment in the region's history. Muhammad bin Qasim entered Sindh with a well-organized army, equipped with siege engines, cavalry, and infantry units. His strategy was to move steadily, securing one city at a time instead of rushing directly toward the capital. His first major target was the port city of Dibal. Dibal was economically important and symbolically powerful because it connected Sindh to the Arabian Sea. After a series of battles and a lengthy siege, the city fell. This victory gave the invading forces a crucial foothold in the region. From Dibal, Muhammad bin Qasim marched northwards. Several towns submitted peacefully, often after negotiations that guaranteed safety for non-combatants. Those who resisted faced military action. The Arab army moved swiftly along the Indus River, relying on river transport and local support. Muhammad bin Qasim issued clear instructions to protect civilians, respect temples, and avoid unnecessary destruction. This policy helped him gain the cooperation of local populations, especially those who were dissatisfied with the rule of Raja Dahir. The decisive battle between Muhammad bin Qasim and Raja Dahir took place near the banks of the Indus. Raja Dahir fought bravely with his forces, but the combination of strategic planning, disciplined troops, and technological advantage gave victory to the invading forces. Raja Dahir was killed in battle, and with his death, the political structure of Sindh began to collapse. Many local rulers either surrendered or joined Muhammad bin Qasim's administration. After the fall of Dahir's capital, the process of reorganizing the region began. Rather than imposing harsh rule, the new administration allowed local leaders to retain certain responsibilities as long as they cooperated. Taxes were collected systematically, religious practices were allowed to continue, and non-Muslims were given the status of protected communities under Islamic law. This approach reduced rebellion and helped stabilize the newly conquered areas. One of the most important outcomes of the Arab invasion was the introduction of Islam to the Indian subcontinent on a large scale. Although Muslim traders had been present in India long before the invasion, it was through Muhammad bin Qasim's governance that structured Islamic institutions began to appear. Mosques were built, administrators were appointed, and cultural exchanges increased. Over time, this laid the foundation for the later spread of Islam across India through trade, scholarship, and Sufi movements rather than conquest alone. The Arab rule in Sindh did not expand far beyond the Indus region. The Umayyad Caliphate faced uprisings, economic pressures, and transitions that limited the resources available for deeper expansion. While Muhammad bin Qasim was an effective leader, political turmoil in Damascus led to his recall and eventual death under tragic circumstances. After his departure, the Arab presence in Sindh weakened and eventually transformed into more localized rule. However, the cultural and religious influence remained strong for centuries. One lasting impact of the Arab invasion was the establishment of diplomatic and trade connections between the Islamic world and the Indian subcontinent. Scholars, merchants, and travelers moved more freely between regions, exchanging ideas, sciences, languages, and technologies. Arabic and Persian eventually became major languages of administration and scholarship in northern India, shaping literature, art, mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The arrival of Islam in India through Sindh also contributed to the rise of new cultural identities. Many communities in Sindh and surrounding regions adopted Islamic practices over time. New architectural styles, traditions of learning, and legal systems emerged. This blending of cultures is one of the most fascinating aspects of South Asian history, showing how interactions between different civilizations can create entirely new cultural landscapes. While the Arab invasion is sometimes portrayed solely as a military conquest, it is more accurately understood as a combination of political strategy, economic interest, cultural exchange, and administrative restructuring. It was not an attempt to conquer large territories, but rather to secure key trade routes, punish hostile rulers, and establish political stability in strategic locations. The long-term effects were far more cultural and social than military or territorial. There is also a significant academic debate about the nature and scale of this invasion. Some historians emphasize its limited territorial impact, while others focus on its cultural significance. What is widely agreed upon is that Muhammad bin Qasim's campaign marked the beginning of direct Islamic rule in the Indian subcontinent. Although it remained limited to Sindh and parts of Punjab, its influence spread far beyond those boundaries in the centuries that followed. Another important aspect to mention is the role of local populations. Not all communities resisted the Arabs. Some groups, including certain Buddhist and lower caste Hindu communities, welcomed the new administration because they faced harsh treatment under local elites. This support played a role in the smooth consolidation of Arab authority in many areas. It also shows that invasions are shaped not only by armies, but by the attitudes of the people living in the region. Over time, the region of Sindh came to be known as Babul Islam, or the gateway of Islam in South Asia. This title reflects its historical role as the first part of the subcontinent to experience Islamic governance. From here, trade links moved further into Gujarat, Punjab, and eventually into northern India. These connections paved the way for later Muslim dynasties, including the Ghaznavids, Ghurids, Delhi Sultanate, and eventually the Mughal Empire. The Arab invasion also impacted the political identity of Sindh. Instead of being isolated from the Western world, Sindh became part of a larger economic and intellectual network. New agricultural methods, irrigation systems, coins, and administrative practices were introduced. Sindh became a region where different cultures interacted, producing scholars, traders, and poets who influenced both India and the broader Islamic world. Although the Umayyad rule eventually declined, the influence of the Arab presence continued. Later Islamic dynasties in India often traced their legitimacy, directly or indirectly, to these early interactions. Many legends, stories, and cultural memories from Sindh still preserve this period in its local traditions. Even today, the story of Muhammad bin Qasim remains part of collective memory in many communities. The Arab invasion of India was not a massive conquest, but its symbolic and cultural significance was enormous. It opened a new chapter in the region's history, shaping politics, religion, and identity for centuries. It is a reminder that history is not only made by battles, but also by ideas, people, and cultural exchanges that continue long after armies have moved on. As we reflect on this story, we see how the past is deeply connected to the present. Trade, diplomacy, and cultural interaction remain key forces in shaping civilizations, just as they were more than 1,300 years ago. The Arab invasion of India is a powerful example of how a single event can influence the direction of an entire region. If you found this detailed explanation helpful, make sure to stay connected for more deep explorations of historical events from around the world. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for our next video.